Good morning, my brothers and sisters. So I'm out here doing my prayer walk, and the Lord gave me a word that I want to just share with you guys this morning. I usually come out here and just uh, spend some time with God, do a little worship, do a little prayer, and then He leads me to a certain passage to read. And so I'm going to share with you what He gave me today. I thought it was so interesting. As you guys know, the other day He gave me a word about Esther, and I shared that with you guys. And so today, as I was in prayer, the Lord showed me, He told me to go to 2 Kings chapter 6. And there's a couple things that I'm going to pull from here, but we'll just start from the beginning. And the sons of the prophet said to Elisha, "See now, the place where we dwell with you is too small for us. Please let us go to the Jordan, and let every man take a beam from there, and let us make there a place where we may dwell." So he answered, "Go." Then one said, "Please consent to go with your servants." And he answered, "I will go." So he went with them. Excuse me, guys. And when he came to the Jordan, they cut down trees. But as one was cutting down a tree, the iron axe head fell into the water, and he cried out and said, "Alas, master, for it was borrowed." So the man of God said, "Where did it fall?" And he showed him the place. So he cut off a stick and threw it in there, and he made the iron float. Therefore he said, "Pick it up for yourself." So he reached out his hand and took it. So one of the things, you guys know, the word that God gave me was, if we build it in this season, I'm going to bless it. And that's the first thing that stood out to me about this passage. The Lord told me that during this season, He told me this in 2015, that my children, if they would begin to build for the kingdom, He was going to bless it. Not for yourself, not so you can be a star, but with a heart that I'm going to build for the kingdom. I'm going to do this as unto the Lord, that He was going to bless it. It was a season of grace. And what was so interesting about right here is these guys told the prophet, like, "Hey, we want to go build. We're getting ready to build something." And then all of a sudden, as they were getting ready to build, the axe head broke off and fell into the water. And now it's like, oh man, I can't build. So I was hoping to build something, and now it looks like my hopes are drowning. Now it looks like, what I had in mind. I had a plan, I had a strategy, and now it looks like it's all going down. Man, I was focused. I was cutting down the trees. I was sure, like, this is what God wanted me to do. God wanted me to build right now, right? And the prophet is the mouthpiece of God. So they went to the prophet, and the prophet told them, yes, go ahead and build. And so they took that word and they ran with it. And as they were beginning to build, it's like they came to like a stop, right? A stop in the process. God gave you a word, God gave you some promises, but now, boom, there's a halt. And it doesn't look good, because it looks like everything is drowning. Every promise, you could apply this to your marriage, you could apply this to your dreams, whatever it is. You said, man, things were going good, we were building, and now it looks like everything is drowning. But what the Lord wanted me to tell you guys is that the man of God, in the middle of all that, he took a stick and he threw it in the water, and the axe head began to float. And that's what's going to begin to happen, all right? There's going to be some things that get thrown into the mix that's going to be a difference maker, all right? It looked like everything was drowning, but God is about to throw something in the mix, and that thing is going to float, and there's going to be a difference. So hold on to that. If God gave you a word, as He gave Brother Marcus a word, and He said, if they build it in the season, I'm going to bless it. It might look like things are going down a little bit sometimes. You might have some hard days, but God is going to throw something in there that makes a difference. He says, look, I see the situation. I'm about to throw something in the mix that's going to bring some things to the surface. I'm going to throw something in the mix that's going to bring some things to the surface. You've been looking at the situation and you did the math and you said, well, 2 plus 2 equals 4. And the Lord says, not in my economy. 2 plus 2 can equal 5 if I wanted to, because that's the kind of God we serve, right? You're looking at a situation and you're saying, well, this plus this equals that. And God is saying, no, 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 no. This plus this can equal whatever I want it to, because I am the variable. And God is about to throw in a variable that is going to bring some of your hope back to the surface. It's going to bring some of your things that were drowning out. Your fire has been drowned out. But also, we can apply this to the political world. Yes, God is about to throw something into the mix, and it's going to cause that axe head to float up, and there's going to be some things that are brought to the surface. Now, I'm going to go into a whole another point. God gave me 3 points in here. Verse 8, now the king of Syria was making war against Israel, and he consulted with his servants, saying, my camp will be in such and such place. My coronavirus team will be in such and such place, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that, and he was making all of these plans. And the man of God sent to the king of Israel, saying, beware that you do not pass this place, for the Syrians are coming down there. Then the king of Israel sent someone to the place of which the man of God had told them. Thus he warned him, and he was watchful there, not just once or twice. So the man of God, all right, he gives the word, now I got to watch and pray. Now watch this. Therefore the heart of the king of Syria was greatly troubled by this thing, and he called his servants and said unto them, will you not show me which one of us is for the king of Israel? It's interesting. AOC was talking about, hey, we need to mark these guys. We need to highlight these individuals right now that are against us. Now watch this. And one of the servants said, none, my lord, O king, but Elisha the prophet who is in Israel tells the king of Israel the words that you speak in your bedroom. Now watch that. So this king, he's plotting and he's scheming, and he thinks it's a big secret what's going on. Now we said already that axe head, God is about to throw something in the mix and bring some things to the surface. But also he has the man of God and the woman of God that are speaking, all right, the secret plots that they're doing in the bedroom, the secret things that they've plotted and they schemed. And this is not just political. You can apply this to your own life. The enemy has been plotting and been scheming, but you know what? God sees every plot. God sees every scheme, and he's going to protect you, and he's going to cover you. You've had people that have plotted and schemed on you in the privacy of their house and private conversations, and God says, I see all of that, and I'm going to protect you. And so what ends up happening, they've plotted, they've schemed, they think they've got a brilliant plan, but then it doesn't work out, and now they're confused and they're mad, and they're saying, why isn't my plan working? Why isn't my strategy working? We spent all this time in a secret place formulating this plot, formulating this scheme, and now it's failed. Why? Because God has eyes on the enemy's plans and on the enemy's schemes. All right? And I'm going to give you this one more point that God showed me. And when the servant of the man of God arose early and went out, there was an army surrounding the city with horses and chariots. And the servant said unto him, alas, my master, what shall we do? So he answered, do not fear, for those who are with us are more than those who are with them. And Elijah and said, Lord, I pray, open his eyes that he may see. Then the Lord opened his eyes of the young man, and he saw, and behold, the mountain was full of horses and chariots of fire all around Elisha. So when the Syrians came down to him, Elisha prayed to the Lord and said, strike the people, I pray, with blindness. And he struck them with blindness according to the word of Elisha. And then, as you guys know, Elisha led them to the king. The enemy thought that things were going to go one way, and when they came, God turned it around. Now notice that Elisha prayed, he said, for one guy, open his eyes, and for the other guys, he said, blind them. God, man, he's so good. The enemy is plotting, the enemy is scheming, right? And the enemy's been looking for you. The enemy, it's like when I was in the military, we got you in the sights, right? And we're getting ready to take that enemy out. The enemy thinks that he's got you in his sights, and he says, I'm about to take the kill shot. And God will blind the enemy just like that. He had a clear plan. He had a clear strategy. He said, this is the way that I'm going to go. And now God has blinded the enemy. He can't see you. He can't figure it out. He can't figure out why he can't hit you. He can't figure out why he's not successful. He can't figure out why he can't take you out. And then when he came to destroy you, now what? Elisha leads them into bondage, but then he has mercy on them. Oh man, what I'm saying is so deep. I know some of you are gonna get it. They think that they've got the victory, and then they get blinded. Oh my goodness, they get blindsided. They thought they had the victory. They came thinking they had the victory, but then blindness hits them. They get hit by something like, oh man, what was that? And then their eyes are open and they're like, how did we get here? But notice, when they got to that place, Elisha did not allow the king to kill them. He said, just have mercy on them, feed them, let them go. When we get to that place, have mercy, walk in grace, and bless them in the name of Jesus, and let it go. Do you hear me? When we get to that place, they can say, what happened? We got blindsided. Love them and bless them. All right, so we talked about 3 things. I'm gonna sum it up, reiterate, and then I'll call it a day. First, the axe head. You guys know that God gave me a word. He said, if they build it in this season, I'm gonna bless it. And some of us have been building. And they asked the prophet, and the prophet said, yes, go build. And they started cutting down trees. And as they were cutting down trees, the axe head broke off and fell in the water. So some of you've been building all kinds of stuff, and then at some point in time, boom, you know what? It just looks like everything is going down the drain. Everything is drowning. My axe head is gone. My joy is gone. My peace is gone. My hope is gone. My security is gone. But then the prophet threw something in the mix that brought the axe head back to the surface. God is about to throw something in the mix of your life. He's about to throw something into the mix of these politics that's going to bring some stuff to the surface. How are you going to respond when he brings it to the surface? Then we saw that the king was making all these plans about what he was going to do. He was plotting. He said, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that, and I'm going to do this. But God had his eyes on the king's plan. And the king got so frustrated when his plan wasn't working. He said, man, who is for the God of Israel over here? Which one of you guys are telling on me? Which one of you guys is snitching? Which one of you guys is not on the team? Not realizing that God always got eyes on the enemy. The enemy is not all-knowing. He doesn't know everything. He doesn't see everything. So that's another thing to think about. God will spoil the plans of the enemy. And then when the enemy came to try to defeat, where Elijah and the servant were, Elijah says, open his eyes so that we can see. Greater is he that is in us than he that is in the world. No matter how bad it looks, we're surrounded by angels right now and chariots right now. No matter how bad it looks, if you see in the spirit, greater is he that is in us, greater is he that is with us than he that is against us. And now that our eyes are open, now let's blind the eyes of the enemy. Man, some of your enemies, man, they're going to get blindsided by what God is about to do. But notice, Elijah just walked in grace and he walked in love when it was all said and done. Love you guys. Be blessed. Be encouraged in Jesus' name.